Spirit Airlines is filing for bankruptcy ahead of the busy holiday travel season.
Spirit Airlines.
Spirit Airlines.
Spirit Airlines.
Spirit Airlines started small in the early 1990s, but quickly became the top ultra-low-cost carrier in the U.S. It grew fast, earned strong profits, and became popular on Wall Street, though not without gaining a mixed reputation. After the COVID-19 pandemic, its business model failed to keep up, and growing debt led to bankruptcy. This is the story of Spirit's rise and fall. The company began as a trucking business founded by Michigan native Ned Homefeld, delivering car parts. Later, he invested in a small air charter service renamed Charter One in 1983, flying tourists to gambling cities like Atlantic City. It was successful, and by 1990, they got a license to run regular passenger flights. In 1992, they added 2 older DC-9 jets and changed their name to Spirit Airlines. They offered very cheap fares, sometimes as low as $80, and basic service. Their goal was to fill every seat and keep costs low. By 1994, they flew over 680,000 passengers and earned $56 million, growing fast. In the 1990s, while many major airlines were struggling due to high fuel prices and economic issues, Spirit took advantage of the availability of cheap aircraft and staff to expand. After a rebrand in 1996, they kept growing despite public concerns about budget airlines. By the early 2000s, Spirit had become a major budget airline focused on vacation routes. They had 2,700 employees, 32 planes, and flew to 16 U.S. cities and 1 international destination. Although still small compared to the big carriers, they were expanding quickly. Eventually, founder Ned Homefeld stepped down, and investor Jacob Shore took over. But soon, private equity firms began eyeing the airline for investment. In 2004, Oaktree Capital Management invested $125 million into Spirit Airlines, gaining control of the company. One of their first steps was to modernize the fleet, placing a $2 billion order with Airbus for 35 A319 and A321 jets. As the airline grew and reached $500 million in revenue, another investor, Indigo Partners LLC, took over control. In 2006, Spirit lost some money mainly due to the cost of upgrading its planes, but overall things were improving. By 2007, they launched a new branding campaign with a simpler logo and updated airplane designs. Alongside this, Spirit adopted a new business model, the ultra-low-cost carrier approach. They cut ticket prices by up to 40%, but started charging fees for things like baggage, seat selection, and food. However, customers began to complain about poor service and frequent delays or cancellations. Pilots also protested low pay, showing how the airline's fast growth was creating problems for both customers and staff. In 2008, high fuel prices and a weak economy hit Spirit hard. They laid off hundreds of workers, and pilots, some of the lowest paid in the industry, went on strike in 2010. The strike ended after a few days when a deal was reached. Despite these issues, Spirit remained profitable and kept growing. By 2011, they passed $1 billion in yearly revenue and went public. The stock took off, starting at $12 per share and reaching over $84 by 2014, a 630% increase. Thanks to their low operating costs and extra passenger fees, Spirit was one of the leanest airlines in the business. While major airlines spent about 16 cents per seat mile, Spirit spent only 9.65 cents. They had expanded to over 150 destinations with a fleet of 65 Airbus A320 family planes, making maintenance simpler and cheaper. Their revenue was nearing $2 billion with strong profits, a big achievement for any airline. They also launched a bold new look, bright yellow planes with a large black Spirit logo, making their jets stand out at airports. During this time, Spirit helped lead the rise of budget air travel in the U.S., alongside other low-cost airlines like Frontier, Southwest, and Allegiant. But Spirit stood out the most. However, in 2015, the big 3 U.S. airlines began offering their own low-cost basic economy fares, copying Spirit's model. Since Spirit already had a bad reputation for customer service, many passengers chose to fly with the bigger airlines instead. This hurt Spirit's profits and slowed their income growth. 2019 was still a strong year, with Spirit approaching $4 billion in revenue. But the future was about to get rocky. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic hit the airline industry hard, and Spirit lost over $400 million. They had to borrow $330 million from the government to stay afloat. On top of that, a 2019 order for 100 new Airbus A320neo planes added huge costs to the company. By 2022, Spirit's long-term debt had soared to $3.2 billion, a big jump from just $130 million in 2014. Sensing trouble, Frontier Airlines offered to buy Spirit for $2.9 billion. JetBlue then made a bigger offer of $3.6 billion. Although Spirit's leadership leaned toward Frontier, the JetBlue deal was accepted, but eventually blocked in court in 2023 over antitrust concerns. Spirit's problems didn't stop there. Many of their Airbus planes had engine issues with Pratt & Whitney engines, causing delays and taking aircraft out of service. Jet fuel prices also jumped in 2022, shrinking their already thin profit margins. Spirit had to sell and lease back some planes just to get cash. Despite management's efforts, Spirit's financial situation kept worsening. Since 2020, they hadn't turned a profit. In 2024, they posted their worst year ever, losing $1.2 billion, with another $1 billion in debt due soon. The airline didn't have the cash to cover it. On November 18, 2024, Spirit filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Their stock had dropped to just 15 cents, a huge fall from its $84 high in 2014. The market had changed, customer habits had shifted, and Spirit's ultra-low-cost model just couldn't keep up. By 2024, even major airlines were doing better in both revenue and performance. After the pandemic, travelers were more willing to spend a little extra for better service. JetBlue and Frontier noticed this and changed their business models to win back customers who were now choosing big-name airlines. Spirit, however, was hit hard by flight delays, cancellations, and rising costs, and its already poor reputation didn't help. The truth is, the ultra-low-cost carrier model just doesn't work as well anymore. Spirit was the first, and so far, the only airline to collapse under these changes, though others were struggling too. Still, Spirit didn't give up. When they filed for bankruptcy, they planned to come back as a leaner, restructured company. They worked through their debt and found ways to keep flights running. Frontier again tried to buy them for $2.16 billion, but Spirit said no, though they left room for future talks. By March 2025, Spirit had officially exited bankruptcy. Their stock was removed from the market, and they returned as a private company. With that, they also announced a big shift in strategy. Instead of being an ultra-low-cost airline, Spirit would now try to appeal to wealthier travelers. They planned to improve their loyalty program and possibly join an airline alliance to compete with the major carriers. But that raises a big question. Can they really change their entire image and survive in such a competitive industry? While Spirit has often been the butt of jokes, their collapse isn't good news for travelers. They offered some of the cheapest flights in the country, giving people an affordable way to travel. What are your thoughts on this? Do share in the comments section. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more such content. Goodbye.